Okay, welcome back. Here are your parts. We have our new toilet bolts, retaining clips, washers, nuts, new caps. We have some corking. And some plumber's putty. This is going to give a little cushion to this toilet between the china and the tile. It's going to add a little cushion. It won't raise it up that much. So first thing we're going to do here is get rid of this wax ring. And let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's about 10 years old, maybe. Try not to touch it. Well, I'll touch it. Goes into the bag. This flange looks okay. Look at these bolts. What's going on with these bolts? Got a little thin set in there or something. Well, this might be why he didn't take them out, because he can't get the bolts out. There we go. That's a nice nasty bolt. But it might be 60 years old. So on this flange, they're going in through the side. Just like that. And we got these little plastic retainers to keep the bolt in place. Where we got water. Then you can say, yeah, those bolts look pretty tall. Well, we're going to cut them. A little bit. Let's see. Let's try the pause. Okay, we're back. I had to get my screwdriver in here a bit, chisel out the thin set and the underlayment to sneak this bolt in. It comes in through the side. We got her in. Got our little retainer. Now, before the invention of the retainer, you want these kind of straight up and down, so when we set the toilet, it goes right on them. Before they invented these little retainers, and I use just a regular $2 wax ring. There's no flange, nothing fancy about it. It's just a chunk of wax. That flange kind of restricts the flow. So I go old school with this old style and still get them. It's a nice sticky mess. Childproof. Okay, you're just supposed to pull it apart. This should come out. I guess you could put these in the refrigerators so they're not so soft. Okay, there's the old wax. Get that guy right in there. That's nice. Now, before the invention of these retainers, you could scrape a bit of that wax off and shove it down around the bolt, and it would take a little bit of wax here. Go ahead, get it on your fingers, and you would push that wax in around the bolt. And that would keep it upright until you got the toilet on it. These retainers kind of work. Now the whole trick to this is you get these pretty much plumb up and down, so that when you're holding the toilet in midair, the bolts will go through the slots nice and easy. Once the toilet's down, you can kind of line them up, and that's that. Let's hit the pause. Okay, we got our wax in place, we got our bolts in place. Now here's the plumber's putty trick. Take your plumber's putty and make a worm, a nice thick worm. So we're going to trim this after the toilet sets on there. You can use a whole jar, I don't care. And we know the toilet is approximately here. Push this down on there. It needs to be drier. You can also put this to the toilet, bottom of the toilet. Just kind of goop it down on there. Toilet will hit it. It's gonna stick. Can you see that? Kind of see where the toilet was. You could probably just do the sides would work. I'd like to go all the way around it if we can. Now this is the special stain-free plumber's putty. Apparently, over the years, used regular plumber's putty on a sink. These new quartz sinks, and chemical in the plumber's putty would stain the sink, so this is stain free. Thousands of years we used the plumber's putty and didn't know it stained until they come up with a fancy cordite or whatever material they use on these sinks, and the old plumber's putty around the drain and whatnot would stain the sink. That's not good. You don't want the stain on a brand new sink. We're going to use the whole jar. This just adds some cushion between the commode and the tile, that nice hard tile. It's also going to make the toilet stick so it doesn't rock. We don't want a rockin' potty. We're just getting close. There's no precise way to put this putty down because it's going to be smushed, and we'll trim the edges if it smooshes out. And just get her down on there. If it hits it, it hits it. If it don't, it don't. Alright, clear the decks here. Well, they say lift with your legs, not with your back. Well, unfortunately, my back is with me today. Wasn't able to leave it at home. Back is going to take a beating. They make if you're doing toilets all the time, they make a jack that lifts the toilet onto some wheels, and you can wheel the toilet around, do your thing, and come back and lower right where you want. Of course, is if you're doing toilets all day. I do a toilet job twice a year, so I don't have the jack. Okay, this part's critical. Let's see if you can see the magic. So, straddle your commode, get her in place. We have slots in the toilet back here. We're gonna try to line them up and get them over our bolts. Okay, let's try it again. Your cattywampus. Gotta get them on that first try. Nice and straight. Lift with your legs. Oh. Now tell me if it's straight over there, okay? Tell me if we're lined up like that. Bounce it around. Where are you? There you are. Okay. Let's give a little adjustment. The eagle has landed. Straighten this out. You can see we missed our mark there, so pull up on the commode and jam some of that down in there. Let it swoosh. Over here we're pretty good. Now the plumber's putty is not sealing, it's not part of a seal, it's more like a cushion. No, we're not even bolted down and we're not rocking, so that's good. Now, before we trim that excess, toilet cap base. That's what I'm calling this. Has a little lip. You want the edge of that lip facing down. I think it even says this side up. So that goes on first over your bolt. And that's gonna capture this when we get done with this. And what we're gonna do is put these little bases on. And then you get a washer. Washer goes on. hot or what? It's about 90 out there, 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, you got your washers on. Put some nuts on there. I think it has a little dome top. You want that on top, I guess. Well, Kevin, those bolts are too big. They're too long. We're gonna saw them off. And when you tighten these bolts down, take it easy. Cool. Don't be torquing on them too hard, because you crack this china right here, and you will be going to buy a new toilet. There's no repair kit for a cracked toilet. Just put them in the dump. And this Glacier Bay, when this was installed 5-10 years ago, they were running $70-80 for a whole toilet tank lid. You had to buy the seat separate. Now they're probably $120, made in Mexico. Cheapest toilet pretty much you can get. You get into those Kohler low boys, $1,200 a toilet. But this is I'm gonna call it a C grade repair, because the house is C grade. And how do you tell if a house is C grade? Well, a D grade house has no cover for the car. A C grade has a carport. A B grade has a 2-car garage, and an A grade has a 4-car garage on the beach. So when you're doing your repairs, you have to repair it accordingly. You can't really do a grade on a C grade. You're spending too much time. But homeowner can't afford an A grade repair on a C grade toilet. So we snug these up. Go one side or the other. Tighten as you go. And torque down one side and then do the other. Because that'll make your toilet will be cattywampus. We're just getting them snug. No real pressure on them yet. I've done these toilets before where you let them sit overnight, and sitting down on the putty will ooze out a little more. Now we're in position now. Yes?
This lady is at the door here, needing.
Okay, where were we? It's a good time to plug the water in. Supply line here. The supply line has a rubber washer, so you don't want to torque down too hard on it. We'll seal. A grade, we would replace this supply line and valve. We'd redo the guts inside the tank. We're parked near a vet, and Dottie Jackson's out in the van in the sunlight. The lady came over and said, "We're calling the cops because the dog is barking." The dog is barking because you're standing by the van. Anyways, I plugged in the air conditioner, so when the cops come, they'll have a good laugh. You gotta watch these people, though. they'll come and break your window, rescue the dog. He's been in a hot car for 2 minutes. I know, kid, but that's cruel that your dog's in a hot car. Well, the AC is plugged in, and here's what I'm doing over here. I'm just putting the supply line back on there. The AC's plugged in. It's gonna be 65 degrees in here in a few minutes. And she's still gonna bark. All right, we got water. Now when you turn that valve back on that hasn't been turned in 10 years, it's a good chance it's going to leak. And when you open the valve for the water, open it all the way, less chance of it to leak. If you bring it out halfway, it could leak. But so far we're good. We're not leaking. And we're not done here, but we're just going to give it a test. That's a wonderful sound, isn't it? Okay, so it flushes. There's no obstruction, and no water came spewing out from underneath it. So our seal is good. I do it now before we get off. Let's try another one. That's wonderful. Now we can go ahead, take some of this putty off. We'll save that for the next job. Toilet runs good, stops. Now, if you flush your toilet and you see the water in here with ripples, that means water is flowing from the rim and you have a bad flapper. The flapper's not sealing and the water's coming through. And you can tell by looking at the water here, if it's doing this kind of stuff, you know your flapper's bad. We're not going to touch the flapper because it's working. Okay, let's hit that pause button again. Okay, we've been cutting on this brass bolt with this little hacksaw. You can use a sawzall or a grinder. I kind of steer away from power tools around this china. I don't want to chip it or anything. But we've cut through that bolt probably enough to... The other thing is when you're sawing on this nut wants to loosen, so every now and then tighten it back up. And also before you put your cap on, this ring has to be kind of even all the way around. I don't have my pliers here, so I just... And you want to cut that bolt low to the nut so that the cap will fit on there. If it's too tall, the cap won't fit. And clean it up a little bit. And it looks like this bottom white piece is centered. And there goes nothing. It should just snap on there. Like that. The cap protects the bolt from water and corrosion, and so it's best to cap your bolts. You cap them. But this one over here, capped. See her cap down there, she's capped. Now that you do that on A grade, B grade, C grade, just do it. Just do it. Now, not done yet. Got some of this, some DAP. I've used this DAP for a long time. It's now Ultra Seal, but you want the white, and this cleans up good with just water. Get you a big enough hole where it comes out good. All right, come on out, baby. Get you a good bunch of this on there. Jeez. Let's just let this sit out in the sun. Okay, with the wet sponge and a wet fingy, mash it in there. Do this all the way around the toilet. Don't need much, just fill in that little gap. Take your sponge. That's about all you need right there. That's not so much a seal as it is to, it kind of glues the toilet down. It helps keep that down. And when you're mopping and stuff, makes a nice transition from the china to the tile. Mash it in there good. Wet finger. Come back with your wet sponge and get the excess off. Don't need a lot. And got a place here to rinse. Rinse and repeat. And we are not rocking anymore. And if it ain't rocking and it's flushing, go get your check. Because you're done. Alright, this is a Coastal here, the little toilet repair. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back on the road soon with more videos.